Hi, Kirsty. Okay, hi everybody. My name's Rachel. I am calling from Glasgow. We've got about 11 people in the session. So can you just message me to let me know that you can hear me before I begin? Just give me a thumbs up in the chat if you can hear what I'm saying. Great. Thanks, Kirsty and Olga. I mean, if we stay around 11, it might be good for the session if people actually have their mics on. You could unmute yourself. Hi, Ray. Then we can be a little bit more spontaneously interactive. But I'll get going because we've only got half an hour. So Mandarin, has anybody had any experience of Mandarin Chinese before? Hi, somebody's got their mics on. Hi. Okay, we've got 13. I can hear a few. Okay, Kirsty's saying she can't see participants. I can only see Olga. Okay, if you want to put your cameras on, obviously you don't have to, but that would be good so that I can see some faces. But we're going to get going. So welcome. 30 minutes of Mandarin Chinese. We are going to be looking at Chinese characters. I'm going to separate out Chinese characters and pronunciation because the most recent research into teaching Chinese as a second language suggests that for beginner learners, literacy and oral skills are separated and taught separately before they are rejoined later on once foundational understanding is there. So that's what we're going to do. I would like to, oops, excuse me. Start by saying hello in Chinese, which many of you probably know how to say hello in Chinese, ni hao. And as this slide shows, learning Chinese is not like learning any other European language. There's an extra step or two to getting proficient in Mandarin Chinese. And this slide shows you, you've got two characters for the word hello. Above the Chinese characters, we have got pinyin, which tells you the pronunciation of the characters. And above the pinyin letters, we have tone markers, which show you the tones that words should be pronounced in. So those are the two main differences between a European language and Mandarin Chinese. Chinese is a non-alphabetic language, as I'm sure many of you know. It's a character-based writing system. There are 50,000 plus Chinese characters, but to become fluent, you need to learn about 2,500 Chinese characters. There is also a writing system called Pinyin, which is the Romanization of the pronunciation of Chinese characters. And it helps when you look at a Chinese character at the beginning of learning Chinese, the sounds, sometimes the character will give you a hint as to how it's pronounced, but that's not a reliable system. So pinyin is used to show how a character is pronounced. And as many of you probably know, Mandarin Chinese is a tonal language. It has 4 tones. And so what we mean by tones is how you pitch your voice affects the meaning of the word. So it's different to intonation. Intonation expresses how you feel about something, but without changing the meaning, whereas tone actually affects the meaning of the word. So the character I've got at the bottom here is the Chinese character for cat. And the pinyin is showing you that Mao is the pronunciation of that word. And the tone marker above the letter A is showing you that it's in first tone. So it's a high, flat pitch for that word. Are there any questions so far? No? Okay. So what I would like you to, what you're going to be doing in the next 20 minutes is learning to recognize these Chinese characters here. We've got 25, and hopefully by the end of 10-15 minutes, you will recognize all of these Chinese characters. We are going to do that by using 2 very Chinese specific language learning strategies. We are going to be looking at the origins of Chinese characters, because their Chinese characters were invented about 3,500 years ago. And the early Chinese characters are very pictographic. So for beginner learners, and I use these for a whole module for introducing Chinese into primary level learners, is to look at the ancient pictographs, and that can help children and adults remember their modern day character equivalents. The second language learning strategy specific to Mandarin Chinese is creating stories. And again, this is useful for beginner learners, not for intermediate or advanced learners, but to help you build up recognition of some of the basic characters at the beginning of your learning journey. Stories can work really well. They work very well for children who can be very imaginative, creating stories around how to remember characters. And apps such as Memrise actually invite users to create stories and share them. So stories can be useful. So we're going to learn numbers 1 to 10 using the story technique. So if we start by looking at ancient Chinese characters, which date back about 3,500 years and were originally scratched onto the plastron of turtle shells and onto the shoulder bones of cattle, we are going to be looking at these origins to see if they can help us lock in modern day character equivalents. So here, now I'm going to need to be able to see some of your, so you might want to have your mics on at this point. If we have a look at this slide here, oops, I think I've just given you a hint there. Anybody want to have a guess what this is a picture of from 3,500 years in China?
Mountain.
Yes, thank you, Hannah. Mountain. I think you may have had a flash of the answer there. So that's the ancient pictograph, and you can see that the modern day character equivalent has still got the 3 peaks that are in the original pictograph. I just put these up because just like English has a lot of different fonts, there are lots of fonts available for Chinese characters. And for beginner learners, looking at the different font, I find it useful to look at the character in lots of different fonts because it can help you recognize them more clearly. So I've just put there a couple of different fonts for mountain, so you can see how different they are. If we look at another, does anybody want to just unmute your mic and have a guess at what this could mean? This ancient picture. Yep, Fei Chang Hao, rain. And if you look at the modern character, you can see we've still got the raindrops on there. Children come up with a story for this one as well. It's a bit like a window pane with 4 raindrops rolling down the window. So we've got rain. This one here, we're still in the theme of nature. Does anybody want to have a guess what this could be? The ancient Chinese pictograph for?
The sun.
Yeah, Fei Chang Hao, the sun. And if you look at the modern day character, you can see if you trace character evolution, modern day characters are mostly made up of straight angular lines. But you can see this is pretty reminiscent of the ancient character. It's got that line in the middle. And this is from a really good online Chinese dictionary, which shows you the order that the strokes of the character are written in. And I put this in to show you that modern day characters are designed to fit into a square. So when you're learning to write Chinese, you're practicing writing it in squares like this. So ancient pictographs are more like drawings, and you can see the modern day equivalents are much more angular. So this one here is sun. Anybody want to have a go at this one?
Moon.
Moon, yep, we have moon. And you can see the modern day character is a bit like the stroke on the left-hand side. It is a bit like a crescent moon. It's open at the bottom. So the sun character was closed at the bottom, moon is open. So you've got the crescent shape with an open bottom for moon. Still on the nature theme. Anybody want to have a guess?
Tree, maybe?
Yep, tree. That's it, Sam. Tree. And here is the modern day character equivalent. So you've got the trunk, and then you've got the roots, and you've got the branches across the top. So we have tree. This one.
Fish?
Yep, fish. And you can see here, the modern day character doesn't look as similar, but if you look inside the square, you kind of got the scales of the fish in the center of the modern character. A story that children often come up with to remember fish is the bottom line there is the sea, and the fish is jumping out of the sea with its mouth open. So if you have a bit of imagination, that might help as well. But yeah, the fish has the scales from the ancient pictograph. This is another animal here.
Rabbit?
Fox.
That's a very good guess. Rabbit, fox. It's a very good guess, but it's a sheep. And it's a sheep's head, basically, the ancient character. And the two, you've got the sheep horns coming out the top of the head. So I always tell children to look for the horns on the modern Chinese character, and you can see the 2 horns coming out the top of the modern character. This is an adjective.
Human?
It looks like a person. It looks like a person with their arms stretched out, which is how I tell children to remember. It's the character for big. So imagine somebody saying, I caught a fish this big. This is the character for big. And this is an example. It shows you the modern day character is very, very similar to the ancient Chinese character. So if you think of a person, if you take away the line in the middle, it becomes the Chinese character for person. But imagine a person with their arms out, stretched, showing you how big the fish they just caught is. That is the character for big. This is the opposite. If you think of the ancient character being 3 grains of rice, we would say they are very small. Yeah, small. So the character for small, if you remember, It's like 3 very small grains of rice. You can see in the modern character, it's still a 3-stroke character. It's similar. So looking at the ancient picture of the 3 grains of rice can help you remember the modern character equivalent. Anybody want to have a guess at this?
Sit.
That's a very good guess, Hannah. It's actually, once you see this one, it's easier to remember it, but it's female or woman. It's like a woman in this kind of position, with her arms out in front of her body, crouching down. And if you look at the modern day character equivalent, you can kind of see that shape replicated in the modern character. So female or woman. And this one again looks like a person, looks like a small person, and it is the ancient character for child. And if you look at the modern character, you can see it has changed a bit, but the shape of it with the long line across the middle is similar to the ancient character. So here we have an ancient character. The characters I've showed you already were made up of one part, one component. This has got 3 parts. Does anybody recognize, if you take one of those parts, we've got 2 on the bottom and then 1 balanced on the top. Does anybody recognize that from one of the...
Is this woods, forest?
Feichanghao. Yeah, well done. It is forest. It's 3 trees together make the word for forest. And if we have a look at this one, so this is a character with 2 parts. You've met both of those parts separately. Can anybody remember what either of those mean on their own?
Sun and moon.
Sun and moon, yeah.
Yep, Feichanghao, sun
No.
and moon.
Nighttime.
We have, oh, yeah, that's a good guess, Hannah. We've got the sun on the left, the moon on the right. If we put those 2 things together, there's the modern Chinese character. It means bright. So sun and moon together make the Chinese word bright. Here we have a pig under a roof. So this is a Chinese character with 2 parts here. Here's the modern part. The pig doesn't look so much like the ancient character for pig, but you can see the roof. So this is a Chinese character with 2 parts, a roof and a pig. Does anybody want to have a guess what this might mean?
Pigsty.
That's a very good guess.
Farm?
Sorry?
Farm?
Farm, that's another good guess. This means family and home, and it dates back because in ancient China, pigs were domesticated, and so this perhaps explains the origin of this Chinese character, a roof with a pig, family or home. And the last 2-part character I'm going to show you, does anybody recognize either of those parts?
Woman.
Yeah, woman, Hanghao.
Mother?
Is it child?
Is it mother?
Yeah. And child. That's a very good guess, mother. There's the modern character. We've got woman on the left, child on the right. It means good. Because again, going back to ancient China, a woman with a child was considered a good thing. And so the character for good is made up of woman and child. Also, just put on here, at the beginning, ni hao, how you say hello in Chinese, the second character is the character for good. So really, literally, the literal translation of hello in Chinese is you good, ni hao. So you've now learned the second character that you would need to write the 2-character word for hello. Now, these are 2-character words. Can anybody remember what either of the top the top two characters, can anybody remember what either of those mean?
Big.
Very similar to big. Big has got a line across the top.
Mountain. I think it was
Mountain. Yeah, Hao. And this is just showing you how some of the characters you've learned can help you learn new words, because the first character here is the ancient character for fire, and fire, mountain together create the word for volcano. If we look at the two character word below, you might recognize both of those characters. Does anybody want to have a go at guessing? Remembering, sorry, what those characters mean. If I give you the ancient characters as well, it might help you remember.
Sheep.
Yes, so we've got sheep.
Oh, it's a little
Small
sheep.
sheep.
Yeah, small
Small
sheep.
sheep.
What would we call a small sheep?
A
A
lamb.
lamb. Yeah. So that's another example of. This is why I find Chinese so exciting, because I love this. You can learn single character words, and then a lot of words in Chinese are made up of 2 or 3 characters. And if you learn a basis of characters, they can help you very easily learn new words. So here we've got fire, mountain for volcano, and small sheep for the word for lamb. So you have learned a lot of those. You've learned 15 of those so far. Let's just do a little, how long have we got left? We've only got 8 minutes left. So we're just going to do a very quick test. If I give you a coordinate, do some of you want to call out what you think that word is? So let's go to 3D. Can anybody remember 3D?
Forest.
Yeah, 非常好. What about 4B?
Rain.
Family. No.
Yep, somebody said it. Rain. If you remember, the ancient Chinese characters was like a cloud with raindrops falling, and here it's like we've got the window with the raindrops on the window. Hanhao. What about 5B?
Yeah, I think that was family.
Yeah, family or home. We've got the roof.
The roof. Okay.
The roof with the pig underneath. You're doing brilliantly. And the last one, 1D.
Moon. No.
You might, if you, sorry,
Moon?
can Lucy?
Moon.
Moon.
Yeah, moon. Yep, that's right. Moon. Excellent. On the left, you've got the sun. So remember, I said the sun was closed at the bottom, and the moon on the right, you've got that kind of crescent shape, and you've got open at the bottom for moon. So you've done brilliantly with that. Now we're going to speed on because we haven't got very long. But looking at, I'm going to now very quickly, believe it or not, I'm going to take about 2 minutes to teach you to recognize number characters 1 to 10. You can probably all guess what numbers these are. One, 2, and 3. I would say to children, 1 stick. Imagine seeing 1 stick on the ground, 2 sticks on the ground, 3 sticks on the ground. So 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3 in Chinese are nice and easy to understand. Here we have number 4, and this is an example of using a story to help you remember the Chinese character. I would say to children, number 4 is the only number character that is in a square, and a square has 4 sides, so, or 4 corners. So if you remember the number character with 4 sides, 4 corners, that is the number 4. Here we have number 5, and the story that I give for number 5, just to help you get it stuck into your brain, is that it contains, if you look carefully, it contains a digital number 5. Some smart Alec will always tell me there's a digital 6 in there and a digital 3 as well. But it still works as a memory hook for remembering in the early stages that this is number 5. Look for the character that you can see a digital number 5 in, and that is the character for number 5. Here we have 6, 7, and 8. So for number 6, it looks a bit like a person. If you just think a hat with 2 sticks is number 6. Hat with 2 sticks, number 6. Number 7, I don't know if we have any French speakers here. Number 7 is a bit like, the Chinese character is a bit like an upside down French 7. So if that will help you remember the Chinese character for number 7. It's like an upside down number 7. Number 8 is harder, but I often tell children the Arabic digit for number 8 is made up of 2 circles, imagining unrolling the top circle to make the line on the left and the bottom circle to make the line on the right, and that is your number 8.
Yeah, originally it's Indian 8.
Sorry?
Originally it's Indian, the numeral 8 in Arabic. Originally it's Indian.
Yes. Oh, okay. Thank you, Sam. Thank you. Here we have 9 and 10. Number 9, it looks a bit like a cursive N for 9, and 10 looks a bit like a T for 10. So those are stories that can help you remember 9 and 10. Okay. So let's see how here they are not in chronological order. Does anybody want to have a go trying to remember those stories? We can do it together. If we start with the first one, what number are we starting with here?
3.
Yep, 3. Then we go to
10.
10. For 10. The next one?
9.
Yep, 9 is like a cursive N. The next one?
7.
Yep, 7, like an upside down French 7. The next one?
5.
Yep, 5. Imagine the digital number 5 inside that. The next one?
8.
8.
Yep, 8. The next one?
1.
1.
Yep, 1. After
4.
1?
7.
4. Yep, we've got it's the only number character that's got 4 corners or 4 sides. And the next one?
6.
Yep, 6, hat with 2 sticks, number 6. And after that we have
2.
2, feet on hat. So there we go. Using stories, you can very quickly learn numbers 1 to 10. And the brilliant thing about the Chinese number system is easier to learn, because once you know numbers 1 to 10, you could now count up to 99, no problem. You could recognize numbers up to 99, because number 11 is 10, 1, number 12 is 10, 2, and so on. So you can very quickly become proficient in recognizing Chinese numbers that are written in Chinese numerals up to 99.
Can I ask you how 20 would be?
Yeah, that's a very good question. 20 would be 210.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, and 21 would be 210, 1.
Oh, yes. Yeah.
Yeah, so it is.
Yes.
It makes a lot of sense.
You fill them out. Yes.
Yeah, fun to learn.
Mm.
We're running out of time, but basically I wanted to show you how you can use 2 quite Chinese specific language learning strategies, looking at the origins of Chinese characters and creating stories to get going and help train your brain to differentiate between what can look like quite similar looking characters in the beginning of your learning. We were then going to move on to actually learning numbers, how to say numbers 1 to 10, but I think we are almost out of time. But just briefly, as a very quick introduction, we've got our characters 1 to 10 on the left. The next column along is pinyin. Do you remember at the beginning of the session, I said that pinyin is the Romanization of the pronunciation of Chinese characters. because Chinese characters don't hold sound like letters. So pinyin tells you how characters are pronounced. And we have 4 tones in Chinese and a neutral tone. And the numbers are a really good place to start when you're learning to perceive the difference between the different tones, because they have the 4 tones in numbers 1 to 10. So first tone, the high and flat pitch, we have number 1, E, number 3, San, number 7, Qi, and number 8, Ba. So you can hear they are high and flat. The second tone, we only have 1 character in numbers 1 to 10, which is the number 10. And it is pronounced sure. So your voice is going up. On here, we've got, you can listen to a native speaker saying the second tone. I think the second tone and third tone are the hardest to grasp, I think. Let me just play. Oh, sorry, that's the wrong one. That's number 1. Oh no, we're all started them all off, sorry. Okay, we're moving down. This is 4. Sorry, I actually wanted to just play you number 10. Sorry, that's very confusing for you because it's playing all. Right, I do apologize. They're all going now. 3 Buchi. Let me just stop them all. Okay, sorry for that technical hitch there. What I wanted to show you at the end there was how to listen and try and, in the beginning of learning Chinese, you just want to be perceiving the difference between the different tones. And I think perception, understanding, and being able to hear the difference before you have a go at saying them yourself is a really good place to start. But as I said, numbers 1 to 10 are great because they have all 4 tones within them, and it's a nice place to start. Sorry about the technical hitch there with all the numbers going at once, but I'm happy to stay if anybody has any questions that they would like to ask.
Would you just yourself say the tones?
Yeah, so if I was going to say the 4 different tones, using the example people always give is ma. So ma is first tone, ma is second tone, ma is third tone, ma, fourth tone. Ma, 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 ma.
Oh dear.
There is research that shows that actually if you practice tones using English words, so you could use the word no, 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 that actually there's something about using a word that's familiar that can help you acclimatize to using tones. So you can practice them with English words. There's quite a lot. If you wanted to have another go on BBC Languages website, they've got a whole section on pinyin and tones, and they've got tone perception games where you can listen and you have to guess which tone you're listening to. So that's quite a good way to get started, just to hear lots of different tones and just to try and hear the difference. Research also shows that for people who don't speak a tonal language, the third tone is the really hard one for us to pronounce. You start mid, you go down, and then you go up again. Ma. It's also called the croaky tone because your voice should croak a bit when you go down and up. So yeah, I mean, for me, the tonal part of the language is the hardest part to grasp. And I think starting with perception and hearing the difference first before you try and produce the sounds is a good way to go. Any other questions? Any other questions?
Do you
No.
not think it is too difficult for an adult to learn? Do you need to do it from childhood?
No, definitely not. Definitely not. You do need, in terms of hours to put in, you need to put in more hours to becoming proficient in Chinese than you do if you were learning a European language as a European language speaker. But I don't think so. I think I mean, the writing, the characters are what I find really exciting and motivating in learning Chinese, because that's what I find very exciting. But I think being able to, you've got to put in the hours, but speaking, have you learned a tonal language before, Sarah?
No, not
No.
at all.
No. Do you speak other languages?
Oh yes, I'm a translator, yes. French, German, Dutch, Spanish.
Okay. Okay, so you've got good ears on you. No, I think if you're willing to put in the hours and recognize that it's going to take longer than it would to learn a language that isn't tonal and a non-alphabetic language, then I think anybody can learn it.
But what about the theory, like say, like children are shut in a cupboard or grow up with wolves, like Caspar Hauser? They say you get to a certain age, like 7, you will never learn to speak English grammar properly. It's like a trapdoor falls shut. Do you subscribe to that with Chinese?
I don't, but I mean, the way I've learned Chinese is a very sort of piecemeal way. I did VSO, voluntary service overseas in China when I was 22. So I spent 2 years in China and basically would just ask people how to say something, and they would write it down, and I would write it down phonetically because I didn't know pinyin at that point. So I learned probably the most inefficient way, other than being in the country and hearing it all the time. I think investing in the early stages with perceiving tone and working on prosody, understanding the rhythm of the language, I think that, coupled with learning foundational understanding of how Chinese characters work, would make you have more efficient language learning later on. So I think choosing the materials that you use would be really important. There's a brilliant website that's set up by a Swedish man, and it's called Hacking Chinese. And it's completely devoted to how you learn Chinese, recognizing it's very, very different to learning a European language. And it's got, I mean, it is an amazing website. It's an amazing resource. And it's full of advice on how to go about learning it. So it's not content on what you should learn, it's how to go about learning Chinese. So if you're interested in learning more, I highly recommend Hacking Chinese as a good place to start. And he's got loads of stuff on what characters you should start learning, how to develop perception of tones. So that would be a really good place to go to if you're interested in more.
Yeah, so you're living proof an adult can do it.
Yeah, no, I mean, I'm still learning now. I think I'll be learning for the rest of my life. I go to a couple of one-to-one lessons every week. And yeah, I will be learning it forever.
Oh, brilliant.
But it's an exciting, I did a French degree. I love speaking French, but I find Chinese, there's something about cracking the code of Chinese characters that is very, very exciting and rewarding. And when you can read a first paragraph in Chinese characters, I haven't had something linguistically that compares to how exciting that is.
A real challenge.
You feel really smart.
Thank you so much.
No, you're welcome. Sorry about the technical hitch with all the numbers coming out at once. But yeah, thank you for joining me. And if you have any further questions, then please just send a message. I think I'll put my email in the chat, but yeah, please just ask for any further information. And thank you very much. 谢谢. Bye.
Bye.
Bye. 再见.
Bye, Rachel. Thank you.
谢谢，
Bye. Thank
谢
you.
谢，
谢谢，不客气。
谢谢，Bye.
Bye.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks. Bye.